Bonjour, bienvenue à sgCarMart Reviews. Aujourd'hui, nous avons la Peugeot 3008. And that's all the French I could Google. Anyway, today we have the Peugeot 3008, and it is what I consider one of the most successful models Peugeot has released in recent times. How successful? Think of the previous generation MPV-ish looking 3008. In 2016, it sold 75,000 units in Europe. And in 2017, when they released this SUV version of the 3008, it more than doubled the sales. So it sold over 160,000 units. I mean, double the sales. So it goes to show that the market really likes this car. And I can see why. It's one of the best looking SUVs at this price point. Even 3-4 years down the road today, it still looks very good to me. Just look at this car. I mean, let's take a look at the front grille. All these vertical batons surrounding the Peugeot Lion. If you stood afar and really squinted, you know, the grille kind of looks like the nose of a lion. Yeah, but I think it looks very, very good. And look at this shark fin-like design on the headlamps. In 2017, this looked very avant-garde. And in 2020, it still looks pretty cool looking for a headlamp design. Onto the side, speaking of design, I mean, if you covered up this portion of the bonnet and you just focus on this part here, you squint really hard and you have a very active imagination. This kind of reminds me of the Range Rover Evoque. But I guess I squinted very hard, but you know, just something I noticed. And speaking of design, I really like what Peugeot did here with this piece of glass. The way they blacked it out and the way it's shaped makes the 3008 look like a coupe SUV, but it isn't because the roof line isn't that sloping. It's just the illusion that they created with this piece of glass here and this design here. So that's quite a nice touch to make the car look sleeker and sportier than it is. And the active variant of the Peugeot comes with 17-inch rims, but if you look from afar, it doesn't look that small on this car, partly because of the 65 profile tires that comes with this car. And when the profile is 65, it just means that it's going to be a more comfortable ride and quieter, hopefully. So yeah, nice touch here. Onto the boot. The Peugeot 3008 is priced from $108,000 for this active variant to $131,000. This car comes with a 1.2-litre turbocharged engine that produces 129 brake horsepower and 230 Nm of torque. The 8-speed automatic transmission brings the 3008 from a 0 to 100 in 10.9 seconds. For more details on the Peugeot 3008 or any other car, head on to sgCarMart.com to help you make the smart choice on your next car. And I have to talk about the design of the back of the 3008 because this car is very good looking. I checked with the production guys, they disagree with me, but I have to say it. If I squint really hard again, the back of this car reminds me of the Range Rover Evoque. Something about the way the tail lamps are that flows into this black paneling here. It's just very beautiful. I like it. And mind you, in 2017, when this first came out, I thought this was one of the best looking butts in the car business back then. 3 years later, I think a lot of car companies have upped their tail lamp game and back design game, but I still think the 3008 stands very strongly among the competition even today. So anyway, onto the boot. What you get, 520 litres, not class leading, but 520 litres is still plenty of space. You don't get any load lip, so it's a flat floor that you can put stuff in. So let's see how this car does for the anti-trolley length test. Unfortunately, it's a bit short. How about the luggage? Can I put it in this way? Yes, no problem at all. So yeah, so you can just put it like that. What else do you get in the boot? You get, you know, your standard 12-volt socket, some lights, and a little hole here to put some stuff. But what I really like about the 3008 is you can knock down the rear seats from the back. And unlike other models that we have tried before, where you activate the latch. The seats really do come down. You know, you don't have to reach in to punch it down or go to the back seat to pull it down. And that is the entire purpose of having the release latches at the back. I think this is a very underappreciated thing in boot space reviews, that the seats really knock down when you release the hatch. Some cars just don't do it well. Good for Peugeot. And with the seats down, you get 1,482 liters. That's a lot of space, and the floor is relatively flat. So good stuff there. Onto the back seat. Okay, before I get into the back seat, just take a look at the thread, the design touches on these seats. It makes the car feel very luxurious. And this pattern is found on the passenger and driver side as well. I really like this goldish orangey thread. Anyway, in the back seat, this is my driving position. I'm 1.8 meters tall. As you can see, lots of knee space, lots of foot space as well, very comfortable. And this is the base variant, the active variant, so there's no sunroof, so you get a lot of headroom. So that's good. You get aircon vents, but you can't control the climate from back here. A 12-volt socket. You know, I wish that was a USB port instead. What else is there? Okay, ISOFIX points for your child seat, cup holders, and a ski hatch. So you know you can't ski in Singapore. Maybe you can put your longboard, or if you have some flat pack IKEA furniture, you can put it through here without having to knock down rear seats. That's great. And for the middle seat, I would say foot space is great because there's like no transmission tunnel. And I must say it's a bit hard, the backrest here, but I wouldn't feel uncomfortable in here for 30 minutes. So that's good, that's pretty practical. Onto the front seat. Okay, I've mentioned this word many times and I'll say it again. Design. Just look at everything, from the lion emblem in the headrest to how the Peugeot 3008 looks. Look at it. It's so aesthetically pleasing. No other car in this price point, I feel, looks as good as a 3008 inside. At this price point, most of its competitors are just placing buttons where they need to be placed and having the car look pleasant. But this is like, the hot supermodel celebrity type of aesthetics. It just makes this car feel a lot more expensive than it really is. And what else can I say? Looks matter, yeah. So what can I say about this interior? There are soft touch materials everywhere. Even this fakish looking carbon fiber pattern is soft. Great stuff. You have to really go down low before you hit some plastics. Even those plastics feel slightly more solid as well. Okay, so the next thing that you see, and it has also got to do with design, is the Peugeot wheel. It's controversial because many people are taken aback by the size of this thing. It is much smaller than your regular wheel, and it is diamond shaped. I think Peugeot did it to make the car feel a lot sportier and nimbler. I would say driving on the road, it does make a difference. You do turn a bit quicker because it's smaller. I feel it's a matter of getting used to and personal preference. I don't love it, I don't hate it either. It's just different. And for the instrument cluster, it's what Peugeot calls the iCockpit. Basically, it's just fully digital. There are no physical dials. There's some customization that you can do, and if you go into minimum, the dials are gone. It's just a big number to tell you your speed. There's a rev counter. Speaking of digital and information, the infotainment system, you get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as well as mirroring, so that's good. What I don't like is, I think, in a bid to make things look aesthetically pleasing, Peugeot has done away with physical aircon buttons. And so if I'm on the road and I'm listening to the radio and I want to switch to air conditioning, I have to first press the aircon button to bring up the aircon menu, and then I will have to press to adjust the temperature and the fan speed. You know, it's not exactly safe because I have to take my eyes off the road and there's no haptic feedback, so I won't know until I look at it to know that I've touched the right buttons. And then when I'm done adjusting it and I want to listen to my radio and change the channel, I have to then press this. So that's a price you have to pay for design. Speaking of design, one thing that I found really cool is the aircon vents. You know, as you can see, there are no knobs to help you turn off the airflow. So how do you turn off the airflow? You just push the aircon aside and all the vents close. I think that's a nice design touch. And because it's so design centric, you know, you start to be a bit more demanding, and then you realize, why is the volume design not like that? You know, why can't they keep this thing stationary? It's just, no. If you're into design, feedback is important, and then making things look aesthetically pleasing is important as well. And there's wireless charging for your handphone, and one cool thing at this price point that you don't really get is this compartment here. It's very deep, so you can keep a lot of things, and it is chilled, which I assume is for you to put small bottles of wine, or I don't know, keep your hamster nice and comfortable in there. Good stuff, you know, just something you don't get at this price point. And then because we're in a Peugeot, you guys will say that I didn't cover it because you guys know already, but yeah, so I'll just cover it. The glove box, you can only have a glove box because there's a fuse box here, because this car is originally a left-hand drive model and they did the conversion to right-hand drive, but they just didn't move the fuse box away. But do you really need that much space? Do you take out your car instruction manual from the glove box at all? What else do you put in your glove box aside from empty ang bao packets? Nothing much, right? So half a glove box is enough. All right, enough about the interior. Let's figure out how this thing drives. Okay, handling the 3008. I must say this is a family SUV, so don't expect it to be super fun round the twisties. There is a little bit of body roll when you're pushing it at speeds around the bends, but not to the point where you feel that you're in danger. But don't expect this car to take corners really quickly. It is, after all, an SUV. And as I was saying, the small steering wheel makes this car feel very nimble. I don't know if it's just the impression you get because it's a small steering wheel, but it does feel very nice to handle for a family SUV, and I enjoy it. So just don't go, you know, taking corners at insane speeds with this, and you should be okay. So what's it like to drive the 3008? It's a 1.2 litre turbocharged engine producing 129 brake horsepower, and more importantly 230 Newton meters of torque, and mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now that's very important because other competitors at this price point that you are probably looking at, the Qashqai and the Forester, they both have CVTs, and an 8-speed automatic transmission with 230 Newton meters of torque means that I could easily execute overtake maneuvers, and you don't feel that it's dragging or anything. It's almost immediate. So putting the foot down the pedal is something quite alright in this car. It's not a race car, but you know, it's a family SUV and $100,000. You can't expect it to be a race car. So for what it is, the gearbox and engine is more than sufficient for its purpose as a family SUV. Interestingly, if you turn on the sport button and then you floor it, fake engine noise is piped in. Coupled with this smallish steering wheel, you know, you feel very sporty, but the experience is very sporty, but the actual speed and the pickup is not a race car. It's just, you know, I would say a bonus to have, something that other cars at this price point don't have, piped in engine noise or engine note. Ride quality, I would say, again, if you compare to its competitors, the Forester and the Qashqai, I would say the suspension on this is just that slight bit harder. It's not deal breaking, it's just, you just notice that it is slightly harder, but it's not back breaking. Yep, that's it. So as usual, we have will buy, won't buy, or go try the Peugeot 3008. Personally, for me, it's a will buy, but many of you would say that the elephant in the room isn't addressed, which is this supposed reputation that French brands are unreliable. To that, I can only say that, is there a dependability study on all car brands in Singapore to show that French cars really do break down more? You know, the EMAS, emergency tow trucks, published a study of how many French cars they towed from the expressway. So where did this reputation come from? Because there's a dependability survey of UK car owners. The number one dependable car for them was a Kia. I think it was a Sorento. The number two dependable car, according to car owners in the UK, is the 3008. So why the discrepancy in reputation? I really don't know. Are there really that many Peugeot cars breaking down in Singapore? I really don't know. But why a will buy for me is because this car, design-wise, is just so good looking, outside and inside. And then the engine with the torque mated to its 8-speed automatic transmission, it just works well. You know, you get power when you want to. There is no CVT rubber banding as you would get from the Forester or Qashqai. So it's just the perfect mix of things. That's why it's a will buy for me. And speaking of the Qashqai, it's so popular in Singapore. But Qashqai shares so many parts with the Kadjar, the Renault Kadjar. So the Qashqai is part French, and why doesn't the Qashqai get the reputation that French cars get? I really don't know. If you say the Qashqai is from Nissan, so it's part Japanese, there's Japanese reliability there. Well, this car has an 8-speed Aisin transmission. Aisin is a Japanese transmission maker, so this car has Japanese parts. So, you know, is it unreliable because it's French or reliable because it's Japanese? It's really anybody's guess. So yeah, to me it's a will buy. Looks wise, engine wise, drivetrain wise, it is there. It is a great consideration. I would have bought this car 2.5 years ago if it were priced closer to the Forester, but it wasn't. It was $20,000 more. Today, this car, I think it's about $3,000 more than the Forester. It is very worth considering. So yeah, there you have it. That's my review of the Peugeot 3008. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and comment in the comment box down below on whether you will buy, won't buy, or go try the Peugeot 3008. And also let me know why French cars have such bad rep in Singapore. Is there a dependability study? You know, are all your French car driving friends having their cars breaking down all the time? Or do you have other friends with Japanese cars or German cars that break down? And does that make you feel that Japanese cars and German cars are unreliable? You know, think about it. And then let me know in the comment box below. And then, yeah, thank you so much for watching. Till next time, bye-bye.